What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome. What is up? Welcome to another edition of Hump Day with Hansen. I'm John Hansen, and for the next, 45, 60 minutes, we're going to be live here on our YouTube page answering your questions as I tweet out the link. It's a brand new program, so I don't imagine a lot of people have that on their calendar. It's a little weird for me as well, doing a broadcast here at 10 a.m. normally on Sirius XM, signing off at 9 o'clock and then just getting to work. But I have been up since 7 a.m. this morning. Head is still spinning just a little bit here as I try and, transition from the preseason to week one. I've been crying about this for literally decades. It's a very difficult transition. You have all kinds of stuff coming at you in terms of week one data and findings, if you will. So it's pretty difficult. And early in the week on Wednesday, one of the reasons we decided to do this Hump Day with Hansen deal on Wednesday is you're kind of in no man's land on Wednesday morning. I know a lot of the waivers have run, not all. I know Yahoo, they run on Tuesday night. Of course, I once again forgot to put in for players on my number one league, which is on Sleeper. And I'm not even sure when they run their waivers. I believe it's not until like Thursday morning or maybe Wednesday. I'll see about that. But I personally am a terrible fantasy manager because I'm dealing with all this content. I don't really care that much about my own damn teams. So we're going to be live here. Our guy, Tommy T, on the other side of the glass, keeping us on the air. And we're going to be answering your questions because, again, Wednesday is a little bit of no man's land. We don't know the injury situations exactly, so we don't know the injury report, but we're starting early in the week here to put together, things like our cornerback and wide receiver cornerback matchup tool, which is one of the first things I look at every week. We've got a number of challenging matchups here for some receivers. So that's kind of the first starting point for yours truly. And you try and work off of that, by the way. Like, okay, for example, Garrett Wilson this week for the Jets got all kinds of targets and a massive target share, as we all fully expected. But this week, he will likely get a shadow from L'Jarius Sneed. So now, how do we pivot off of that? Garrett Wilson is a great player, and he can beat anyone, and he'll get his because he's such an awesome route runner, and he's just great. I mean, he's a great player, but he is going to get that tough matchup. So they're going to be looking for someone else, perhaps Tyler Conklin this week. I didn't like him last week, and boy, he didn't do diddly poo. But, a long season, and this would be a week where maybe Tyler Conklin shows up. We've got, let's say, DK Metcalf this week is going to see a lot of Christian Gonzalez, probably shadow coverage there because Gerard Mayo from the Bill Belichick school of thinking, man up, your guy you want to kind of take out. So, and Christian Gonzalez graded out very well, or pretty well. And, he's just coming back from that serious injury too. He is an absolute stud. We also have A.J. Brown up against the Falcons, likely seeing shadow coverage from A.J. Terrell, which means it's Skinny Batman time, baby. Once again, Skinny B. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. He is so awesome and just so available. It's incredible, consistent, just absolute money in the bank. I'm going to call up the top 200 sheets we had here because I could not believe how affordable Mr. Skinny Batman was here in drafts. I'm going to pull it up here and look, plenty of stuff after 1 week I got wrong on the PDF cheat sheets I do, but I really try my best to be ahead of the game and ahead of the markets on players I think are going to get it done and are going to come, go down as great values. Of course, as I say this, I could never find the damn guy on my list. Here it is. I mean, this is ridiculous. Devontae Smith's ADP was 49 overall. I had his ass at 26 because I am a massive Devontae Smith fan. The guy is a baller. I like how he's going to be inside more, which he was under Kellen Moore. So Devontae Smith looking good. Haven't had time to look at all the propage yet, but he's looking good in this one here with AJ Terrell, often on AJ Brown. We also have Cortland Sutton. Forget it. This week against Joey Porter. Nope. So it'll be Josh Reynolds, maybe the rookie. We'll see about that. I kind of like Josh Reynolds. I know the rookie has got, a little bit more pizzazz, if you will, the sexiness of the unknown. But good old boring Josh Reynolds he's a professional receiver. He's got inside outside versatility. We also have Georgie Pickens up against often Pat Surtain. Now we're not going to pivot off of that, but we may not use Georgie Pickens, or we're certainly not going to go with his props and things like that. A couple of other scary ones here. Derek Stingley, probably a good bet for the Houston Texans to shadow DJ Moore. And I isolated a couple of other matchups. We are still young on the data here, only 1 week. We would recommend really using our data at Fantasy Points Data hardcore style after 3 weeks, when we get at least 3 weeks of data. But we do have some interesting matchups here that are bad, basically negative. Calvin Ridley obviously is going to see a lot of Reed and Sauce Gardner. Don't like that at all. I don't like Christian Kirk this week. Really let me down last week against Greg Newsome. Very worried about that. Couple of others here. There was one or two others that kind of scared me a little bit. Oh, Jamar Chase. I mean, he's going to get his, but and they probably won't shadow him with Trent McDuffie, although maybe they do. We're not projecting that, but McDuffie is a baller. He often plays inside though, but he'll see a lot of Jamar Chase, will Trent McDuffie, and I think he's a really, really good player. Yeah, there you go. And also Chris Olave. This is boom or bust this week against Trayvon Diggs, who graded out very well last week, didn't give up any production. Chris Olave, they play a lot of man. Diggs is a gambler. I mean, he makes big plays, but he can also be beaten. So that'll be a fascinating matchup to see in week number 2. If Chris Olave doesn't get it done, I don't know about panic time, because this is a tougher matchup, but it'd be great to see him beat Diggs at least once on a big play from Derek Carr, and we could feel a little bit better about Chris Olave. Well, let's see what we have here in terms of questioning. I see we do. And we'll get right into it here. I think we've got a decent number of questions. So Space says, hey, John, go Vikes. Where are we going, sir? That's my question. Where are we going? Because it's probably not going to be the postseason, but let's go JJ McCarthy. To Space Jackson, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but the fact that we lost JJ after one game, and I thought it was a very good game. I know it's preseason. That tells me he's going to be good, because if he was going to suck, then since Vikings are going to Vike, if JJ McCarthy was going to suck, we would have never had seen the injury, because he would have been out there sucking for the whole damn season and causing us a lot of pain here. As I turn my damn light on, I forgot to turn my light on. Yeah. So there's that. Hump Day Guru, thoughts on Corum, and is he still worth a stash? Look, it's just one game. They do love Ronnie Rivers. He's been there for a number of years. And Sean McVay and LaFleur, they clearly trust him. So, we're not seeing any action here from Blake Corum right out of the gate. It's not a tragedy. It's a long season. Kyron didn't have a great game. If he doesn't score, by the way, he comes up small in the game. I still think Blake Corum is a good handcuff. Yeah, I mean, he's a great stash and hope guy. And I like Blake Corum. I said he was more talented than Kyron Williams. I wasn't into Kyron Williams as ADP, but I also did say, look, I'm not expecting Blake Corum to usurp Kyron Williams. I think it's possible down the stretch if he starts to wear down a little bit and all that. But yeah, we're not there yet. He is really in need of a Kyron Williams injury right now to have any prayer of sniffing the field, but I still think massive upside. I mean, you are hard pressed to find a better stash and hope guy who is not a starter. I mean, just looking around here, I mean, we've got Jalen Wright in Miami, could be really, really intriguing. Don't see anything on Cincinnati or Cleveland or Pittsburgh. No, I mean, there's not a ton in terms of like, oh my God, if this guy is thrust into the starting lineup and gets the volume, he's going to be a major needle mover. Maybe Audric Estime, the rookie who looked shot out of a cannon on a couple of carries. I thought Javonte looked pretty good, but it wasn't blocked up very well, and it wasn't really a good showing. It's just, man, what a freaking buzzkill. Javonte Williams, I mean, if this trend continues, then I'll have to say he's one of the most talented running backs who never did crap in the National Football League. Let's see here real quick. If there any, I mean, Trey Benson is very similar to Blake Corum. Benson got a little bit more play in week number 1. Maybe Zach Charbonnet. Not really. I think Blake Corum is probably going to be better than Zach Charbonnet. Let's see here. Definitely nothing on the Saints. How about freaking Miles Sanders? Just go away, dude. You stunk last year after you got paid. Now all of a sudden you're back. Very annoying. I apologize to anyone who used freaking Chuba Hubbard last week because I kind of thought Miles Sanders was in the dirt. That was absolutely ugly. Now, it's not all my fault. I don't think we could have possibly, well, I guess we could have envisioned Carolina being that bad out of the gate. It's like you practiced and you prepared for 8 months for that. Very, very worrisome. Yeah, nothing in Green Bay or Minnesota or Detroit. And Chicago's got a logjam. Yeah. I mean, Blake Corum is one of the top 3 non-starting running backs that I would want to not handcuff. Just kind of stash and hope. Steve says morning from Texas. What's up, Steve? Morning from, can't believe I'm saying this, but morning from Georgia. That's where I'm at right now. We got a bunch of good morning. We have a cry for more El Nostradamus, Thomas Tipple, getting some love there from Bango Lancer. And Thomas Tipple is our dynasty savant. Like, he is all up in there in the weeds of dynasty and, thought processes and all that stuff. Like, he's really, really into it. I like making picks. That's it. I like being predictive and making picks. I don't know about like the whole dynasty thing. I'm a terrible manager. We can move on. I suck at managing a fantasy football team. It's like the last priority for yours truly and often gets neglected. We'll go back to Bango Lancer. Early week vibe. I just said it. Devontae Smith or DJ Moore? And the answer is, in fact, Devontae Smith, because DJ Moore will likely see shadow coverage from Derek Stingley, who is very good. That's a tough matchup. Moore lines up there, left wide receiver 60% of the time, and Stingley's there 95% of the time. So we would definitely pivot to Skinny Batman because AJ Brown also has a challenging matchup against AJ Terrell, who has been their shadow corner. So feeling great about Skinny B. I almost want to go and look at Skinny B's propage like right now and see what that is. Because I do see, I don't see anything out yet on Skinny B. So that sucks. But we'll find out pretty damn soon. But definitely like Skinny Batman. Chuck says someone in my league just dropped Tajay and Chuba. How much fab you dropping on that? Well, I'm not going to get Chuba. Chuck says he loves me. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Very nice. After last week, that was bad. That was really bad. I mean, it'd be one thing if they had a decent offense where they actually, move the ball and, I don't know, score points, but they didn't have that really in week number 1. So to answer the question on Tajay, look, I think they're going to have a little bit of a correction in terms of the role. I absolutely love Tajay as a pick. And I think, by the way, everyone started kind of getting in on that as the summer progressed. bumped up the ADP a little bit. It got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I kind of like Pollard, who I drafted in the FPI, the Fantasy Points Invitational. And dude was my number one performer basically in week number one. $100 Tajay, depends on what you need. I mean, I'd probably like, if I didn't have a good third back and wanted I like Tajay. I mean, he's still going to be good. It's just, you can't count on anything more than like 11, 12 fantasy points, but that's not bad. I mean, that's kind of like an RB2, a high end RB3. I don't know. Maybe, if I needed a running back and I felt the need, maybe like 23, 4%. Very, very difficult. Just so you know, when you do the bidding, and it's just the stupidest tip ever, but I really think it's helped, because some people are lazy, like, oh, give me 20. I'll do 20, 20%, 20, even 20. And then I'm like, well, what if they're lazy and they go 20? So let me go 21 and get to 21. And then I thought, well, what if they're thinking like me and they're going to try and sneak it for 21? Now let's go 22. I actually won a bid on a house once using that fab strategy. I won the bid by less than $1,000 because it was like 21. I think I did 22. So it was like and blank and 22,000. I put 22,000. The person who I was bidding against put 21, and I won it by 1,000 basically. So just throwing it out there, 22, 23, something like that. Like, look, if you're desperate, maybe you bump it up a little bit higher to like 28, 29. Let's go to Brent Brown. Good morning. Should I start Shakir or wait for Higgins or Chase Brown in a PPR? I think we'll probably get a little bit of a correction there on Chase Brown as well, with the touches being so low. I mean, if you read my damn Hansen's Hints article, I pretty much said, like, I've watched the first preseason game, and like, Chase Brown, not a great early down option. It just, watching it, I'm like, they need Moss. And I'm stupid because I didn't go in on Moss because he's just too boring, but I've been trying to embrace boring. There's a situation where I probably should have embraced it. Now, let's see if Moss can make it through the year because he's had a lot of injury problems. That was part of the equation as well. There's always like all kinds of stuff going into the equation. And, Zach Moss's availability or lack thereof was part of that. But I think we hold off on Chase Brown. I love Shakir this summer. He's good. He scored. He got it done, but definitely worried about the target share, spreading the ball around a little bit. I thought he would be a little bit more of a go-to guy, if you will. Maybe he will. I would lean Higgins if he goes, but who knows? Our guy Adam Schefter on the podcast, we keep bringing it up, but I did my podcast here at Fantasy Points with Shefty, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. Him and I talk all the time, by the way. Like, we're good friends at this point. We've known each other for over 20 years. He did warn us on the pod. Like, he tells me a lot of things off the record, between him and I, but he told us right on the pod, be worried about T. Higgins. I was like, oh, okay. And when I pulled back, and here we are, week one. So, but if Higgins is practicing a couple of days this week and we're clear he's going to start, I'd probably go Higgins because the matchup there for Chase could be a little problematic here for Jamar Chase, who did get it done finally with some volume, but he'll see a lot of Trent McDuffie in this game. Again, he could beat anyone, but Trent McDuffie is really, really good. Willie calls me the GOAT. Thank you very much, Willie. Phil goes, would you trade Olave for Devontae Smith in a full PPR? Yeah, I would, because do you really want to be subjecting yourself on a weekly basis to the whims of Derek Carr? Like, he balled out in week one. We'll see if it continues. Clint Kubiak is good. Shanahan guy, that's a Shanahan tree, basically. We all love Sean McVay, all that. Kubiaks go way back, obviously, and that's Gary Kubiak's son and all that. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it. Devontae Smith is absolute money in the bank. Played inside quite a bit as we hoped and expected. They don't have a third receiver. Dallas Goedert is just, man, I lost a prop on Goddard on Friday night. Thought we were looking good. He got the targets early and he lost it by like 8 yards. John, wow, $9.99. Wow. You didn't have to do that, John, but thank you. I don't know where this money goes. I guess it just goes to the company pot, which is good. Help us out. Help us help you. So many unbelievable things going on at FantasyPoints.com. I will say it's really hard. There's so many elements involved. We don't have like this massive staff to where we can do all these things at once. So I personally really appreciate all the patience that people have shown over the last couple of years. I think they see what we're doing and they see the content is absolute lights out. Like we're growing. It's great stuff. Great stuff. But anyways, back to the questions. Let's go to Stevens, 444 Stevens. Do we still have faith in Josh Palmer? Team doesn't throw all that much yet. We know. I can replace him with Lazard. Nah. I don't like that. I actually did call Lazard my Monday night special. I didn't put it on fantasypoints.com, which I regret. I did mention, though, on Sunday in my Hansen Since article, like, I just had a feeling, man. I really did. I'm like, and our guy Adam Kaplan brought this up too in the podcast that we did about 2-3 weeks ago. He's like, oh, there's someone on the Jets that's still involved and no one's talking. I'm like, oh, let me guess. It's Lazard. It's freaking Lazard. I happen to just have this vibe. I did write on Sunday. Like, I think I wrote, like, I fully expect him to make an impact in this game. And he did, obviously, with the 2 tutties. That said, I'd still go Palmer. Let's give it another week. When you look at the chart, and how about Ladd McConkey getting it done? I love Ladd. I wish I ranked him a little higher and was a little bit more in on him, but I honestly did like Palmer more. I got a little greedy with the value, but if you listen to me on SiriusXM, all off season, what did I say? Oh, he's a good lad. And he was good. It was a great move on the touchdowns, a great kid. I've chopped it up with him. I definitely feel a little kinship to Ladd McConkey, no doubt about it, because I really liked him. Came on the SiriusXM radio show, and as I've told the story, it's like, wow, small world. My realtor down here in Georgia, her son played at Georgia. He won 2 natties. Guess who his roommate was? Oh, Ladd McConkey. Crazy small world stuff. So I talked with her about 3 days after I interviewed Ladd in the spring. And I'm like, oh, yeah, just interviewed Ladd McConkey on the radio. And she's like, oh, yeah, he was over the house last night, blah, blah, blah. Just normal stuff. I'm like, oh, you hang out with Brock Bowers? Oh, yeah. Just normal run-of-the-mill stuff here, wild stuff there down here in Georgia. Anywho, no one cares about Georgia. Well, maybe a few. We'll move on, and we'll go to the Donnie Brasco. It's a fine film starring Johnny Depp. Guru, would you trade Lawrence for Caleb Williams? Both guys not looking great in week number 1. Nah, at this point, I mean, I did like Trevor Lawrence this year to bounce back, put up some numbers, so run a little bit. He might actually be right there with Williams in terms of the ground production. It's hard to say because Williams has only played 1 game. He didn't run much in week 1, but yeah, I did have Caleb over Williams for the season-long rankings, but that was not a great showing in week 1. So now I've pinched them a little bit. So I probably wouldn't. He also offered Caleb, and I have Goff, I have White. I don't really follow the rest of that. But no, I'm not going to trade Lawrence I will not trade Trevor Lawrence for Caleb Williams at this juncture. Z Smitty asks or says, I traded Mark Andrews for J.K. Dobbins. Wow, that's pretty ballsy. I have Likely and Jake Ferguson. Thoughts? Well, Jake, I mean, what a devastating week 1 for yours truly in terms of my favorite quarterback and tight end picks. That sucked. It's like, as I always say, Nothing, and I mean nothing, can ruin an entire offseason of excellent analysis better than the regular season, than week one, than kicking it off. So Ferguson will try to play. I mean, you probably go. I think you'll be okay. I think you could certainly use likely in a pinch like this week, unless Ferguson miraculously practices all week. I saw a data point on how the Ravens played a really high percentage of 12 personnel. It was like the highest since the Eagles in 2019. And what happened then? Dallas Goedert, the rookie, as the two, was impactful alongside Zach Ertz. One of the reasons they traded Zach Ertz, I guess, the next year, or they let him go, whatever. But it can be done. It can be done, and likely commands that ball for sure. Like at this point, as I said all summer, I'm like, at this point, like we got to roll with this guy. And then Bateman, I'm not giving up. The separation data was good, but I hate to say it, Lamar Jackson holds these guys back. He really does. Hollywood Brown kind of said it when he wanted out. And now I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit with Zay Flowers. It's like, dude, if you watch Thursday's game, just kind of like in and out, you would have thought, oh my God, Zay Flowers went off. No, he didn't. He was like the wide receiver 39 for the week, thanks to Lamar, or no thanks to Lamar. All right, so we got more clarification here. The offer is Caleb and Corum for Lawrence. Okay, that makes it a little bit better. I mean, maybe that puts it over the top for me. But, it's a little worrisome. I'd like to see at this point after last week, I'd like to see actually, production from Caleb Williams. But, that's not bad if, running backs, needle-moving running backs are hard to come by in your league. It's not bad, but, you may have to wait a little while for Blake Corum to help you out here. But yeah, not bad. Not bad. Oh, Caleb Williams or Baker. I mean, obviously we've got to go with Baker after the bonanza from last week. Boy, I study body language and all that. I mean, he was feeling it. He came out there. He was very confident, and they do play a lot of man. And I'm not looking at the data at the moment, but I know historically Baker Mayfield has been very good against man. I mean, hell, he produced in the playoff game last year, right? Let's call that up. I mean, and that game, by the way, has a very high total. I believe it's like 52. So we love that. Let's take a look. Playoffs. Let's see here. Yeah. Boom. I mean, geez, 349 he threw for with 3 tutties. Now, he did throw a couple of picks, but that was a different offense. But we're off to a great start. I mean, Jalen McMillan, my guy, man, he is awesome. And he, by the way, dropped a touchdown. Probably could have had a touchdown. So I know our data charters with their notes, because they're obviously watching and charting every game, and then they send us notes on what they saw. They all felt that Baker could have gone off he did actually. I mean, we're talking ballistic. Let's see here from the notes. Jalen McMillan. Any secondary will have their hands full covering this group of Evans, Godwin, and McMillan. Obviously, the matchup against DC was fantastic, but very, very impressed by Tampa's showing in week number 1 and that receiving core. So it's Baker all day long. Tour Series states lost Jordan Love, didn't have a backup. Oh, Jesus. Bryce Young, Brissett, Darnold, or Carr, and that's all that is available. I mean, to me, it comes down to Tour Series. It's going to be Darnold or Carr. Trying not to get personal here, but Derek Carr is a noted anti-guru, right? This guy has absolutely ruined me over the last 10 years. Not every year, twice. He got me twice. 1 year, he was like my guy, and he crapped the bed. See that? I almost cursed. although I can if I really wanted to. He crapped the bed. Then maybe 3 years ago, I was back in first year in Oakland. I mean, he is the definition of an anti-guru, because he's good, talented, throws a football very well, athletic. I see no drop off at his game, yet he'll drive you absolutely nuts. I mean, it's unbelievable. Darnold's no gemstone either, though. Of course, he's got that injury to Addison. Man, I hate to say it, but I'm going to go Carr. Maybe if Darnold wasn't looking at potentially not having Jordan Addison, I'd go with Darnold, because they're going to throw it a lot. Their depth of receivers pretty good, but you still also have Hawkinson out. I don't think we can count on Hawkinson until like week 6, week 7. So I will go Carr. Kubiak, off to a great start. They don't have a ton of weapons, but he does have Olave. Yeah, I'm going to go Derek Carr there. Billy Bob asks, would I start Likely or Conklin? Man, that is a tough one. I'm going to see what our let's take a look at the projections. I have not studied the tight end projections just yet. I mean, it's not easy to go Conklin after what we saw with Likely. I would have to go with Likely here against Vegas. Problem is with Likely, I mean, he'll probably come up small this week because they're just going to kill him and run the ball with Derrick Henry. They're like 10-point favorites now. That's a problem. But that's tough to pull the trigger. I think based on what we saw in week 1, I think we're required to go Likely. Just sleep like a baby. I mean, the NFL and fantasy gods have made it so you need to start Likely just so you can sleep well. It's a good decision. Cruz Garcia asks, would you trade Amari? Oh, hells yeah. Would you trade Amari for Devontae Smith? Would you trade Amari or Devontae Smith? Who is MHJ? Why am I missing that? Like MHJ. Why am I missing who MHJ is? Well, I like Devontae Smith. Marvin Harrison Jr. Duh. I mean, it's new. It's rookie. I mean, you got to give me a week or two here for, the MHJ. I guess we'll go MHJ now. Okay. Definitely Devontae Smith for sure. I mean, I was with the markets on Marvin Harrison, figured he'd get the ball, and week 1 didn't look good. Like Kyler, one of the problems with Kyler is he's too short to let downfield plays develop, and that's a problem. Because Marvin Harrison is a downfield threat. They're going to have to move that pocket. They're going to have to find a little bit more creative ways to get the ball, because I popped in the game and all I saw was the same old Kyler, like moving around well, but spinning out of the pocket a little prematurely because he can't see what the hell he's looking at, looking for some space. And then the play breaks down, basically. So, yeah, I am not feeling warm and fuzzy about Marvin Harrison, and certainly Amari Cooper too. Like, he's a baller, still playing at a high level, but I did not list a single Browns player on my players to target list this year because it was just too painful with Deshaun Watson sucking. Let's go to Steve. Morning, Steve. PPR league with Puka out. I'm already scrambling. Who would you play in a flex? Jalen Warren. Oh, Mooney. I mean, come on, Mooney. I may have to just bag it, but we're not panicking after week 1. He caught a 15-yarder. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then that was it. But in his defense, Kirky was ass. And I don't mean average separation score. He was actual ass in week number 1. So there'll be better days for Mooney, but you're not using him. Madison, I thought Zamir White would get a little bit more love in the passing game, throw it to him 2-3 times on early downs. But clearly Madison is their hurry up back and their third down back. It's annoying, but he's, pretty good in pass pro, I guess. I think I'd go with Reynolds or Warren. We might get a little bit of an overcorrection there on Warren. Certainly Najee Harris really looked like a bell cow last week. No, you know what? I'm going to change my mind there. Reynolds is intriguing in that same game because George Pickens is going to see a lot of Pat Surtain. But I think I'd go Warren because look, they're going to run the ball. They need to run the ball. They should run the ball. Bo Nix, not good. I mean, it was bad. That was not fun to watch at all. He probably have another tough go this week against Pittsburgh. They do play a lot of man, so things should be defined. Maybe he'll run around, but don't know about him getting the ball to the receivers. Let's move on here to Rel Supman. He says, thanks. You're welcome. Karam in a 2-quarterback superflex league. What kind of trade value do you think Jaden Daniels could earn? Seems like good trade bait down the road. Well, I actually listed him in the article on the site as a player to trade. Not that I'm selling at all costs. Obviously, that's dumb. Like, you drafted him for a reason. But if there's an angle, like if you can be fine without Jaden Daniels and maybe you have a hole elsewhere, maybe it's a 2-quarterback league and you took Derek Carr or something like that. Not that you feel great about Derek Carr, but you have a massive hole like RB2. So I think the perception of Daniels right now is probably that of a, QB1 and up the board a little bit, like mid to low end QB1, like, I don't know, QB8 or something like that, QB7. I mean, his ADP was lower than that. I believe it was like QB what, 13, 14. So you're like Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Stroud, Richardson, Kyler, Lamar. There's 8. I mean, Burrow, 9. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put him right below Burrow. It's like QB10, QB9. So take that for what it's worth, which is like perspective, I guess, on the trade value. So in a 1-quarterback league, I think maybe even in a super flex too, I think it's kind of the same. Like if somebody is trading for Daniels in a 1-quarterback league, that means they don't have one great quarterback. If they're trading for Daniels in a 2-quarterback league, it means they maybe only have one. So I would say, like a higher end RB2 or a mid-range RB2, or, a higher end wide receiver 2, something like that, like Derrick Henry. I mean, Ken Walker would be nice. Not sure I would do Kyron Williams, someone like that. And then receiver, Jaden Daniels, top 10 guy. Who could you get from? I think you might even be able to get like a Drake London. I would say at this point maybe a high end 2, maybe an Olave, somebody like that. But yeah, it's not the worst idea because, I mean, 16 attempts is just ridiculous. I went back and I looked. Lamar only ran it like 7 times in his first game. Lost his helmet a bunch of times. One time, I think maybe 2 times, like kept playing. One time at the goal, he just kind of kept playing without a helmet. That's not good. That's reckless. And then the schedule does get scary after the next 3 weeks are good. So after week 4, Jaden Daniels may be the QB3 on the board because he's got the Giants, Bengals, and Cardinals. Really good matchups overall. However, after that, it is scary. Cleveland at Baltimore. You got Carolina in there. Chicago's D is good. Play a lot of zone. They'll confuse them. Giants, that's a good one. And then you got Pittsburgh, though, at Philly, and then Dallas. That's a... Boy, if Jaden Daniels can get to the bye week in week 14 without suffering some sort of injury that knocks him out or limits him, then I almost feel like that might be a more borderline miracle. Let's move on here. Is it too early to roll with Daniels over Murray this week? No, I don't think it's too early. I really don't. Let's see where we have it. I'm still obviously looking into the projections and all that. I'm a little worried about Daniels, like didn't do much throwing the ball. Oh, wow. Well, it is the Giants. So no, we'll start Jaden Daniels. I mean, we have Kyler at top 8, but our guy Chris Weck has Daniels at QB1. With a lot more rushing attempts forthcoming. So wild. He's got him 16 carries again. I don't know about that. I I mean, because even the head coach or the offensive coordinator was like, okay, yeah, 16's a bit much, but that's what we've got him projected for. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. He did take off and run 16 times last week. So, I mean, maybe I'd cut it down to like 11 or 12, but yeah, double digit carries for Jaden Daniels is pretty damn good. So no, I think we just forget the name on the jersey. Go with the production. Murray wasn't all that great anyway. I mean, not like he was lighting it up. Marvin Harrison, goose egg people, basically. Let's move on to Liam Donahue, Superflex League, rostering Jaden Daniels and Kirk Cousins. Options on waivers. Knicks Minshew. Oh, boy. Whew. No, I'd stick and stay with Kirk for now. I mean, he may be done, honestly. 35, Achilles, not mobile to begin with. We'll see. I mean, that's a pretty strong word. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what I am saying is if I was invested in this offense and Kirky in a super flex, I would want Penix. I mean, we all ripped them a little bit for taking Penix when they did, but hey, I'm happy they did it at this point. It's not my money. It's not my team or anything like that. I'm glad that Michael Penix is there because he's a massive upgrade over Des Ridder, Carcass Mariota, or Hospital Ball Heineke. I mean, already. So you feel better about the receivers there at the very least with a very capable backup. Sean Gagne, or is it Gagne? Are you French, Sean? Guru, happy hump day. Is Isaac Guerendo worth a pickup? Yeah, I have been talking about Isaac Guerendo because the vibes on CMC have been, well, horrendo. So, yeah, I know our guy Adam Kaplan was out there this summer, had some good thoughts on Guerendo, a lot of juice, a lot of speed. They're happy with him. So, absolutely. I mean, if he can navigate in this offense, if he gets the touches and he gets those creases, he's a home run hitter. So absolutely pretty good stash and hope. Let's go to the CEO of motivation. That is quite the title. I need to hire you sometimes, but I'm very motivated right now to do this live stream here every Wednesday at FantasyPoints.com. Wednesdays suck. Let's be honest. I mean, we do have the injury report coming out. A lot of fantasy rankings come out on Wednesday, so that's good. But no identity for Wednesday. So we'll come on here every Wednesday morning and chop it up with the people. Let's go next to, oh man, my browser's trying to force quit Chrome. That wouldn't be good for this broadcast right now, considering I'm on Chrome. Cotton 13. Are you comfortable rolling with Bowers as a tight end one moving forward? Well, I'm uncomfortable with my analysis of Bowers. I'll tell you that. I mean, I loved him as a player and a prospect, but, you know, going to the Raiders, I wasn't exactly feeling it. But, man, the usage was incredible. So, yeah. As I wrote in the Players to Trade and Trade For article, the main reason I listed Devontae Adams is because of Brock Bowers. I mean, for him to get the target share and the love that he got and the production, he looked great. It does not bode well at all for Devontae because Devontae's been struggling with bad quarterback play, as we know, for a while, even starting with Derek Carr for the Raiders a couple of years ago. And he's been getting it done. He's been kind of masking those deficiencies with volume. Well, the volume is not going to be there. Thanks to Brock Bowers. So, yeah, I would be very concerned. And I do think that you can roll with Brock Bowers right now. You can absolutely roll with him. I'm trying to look for the data points through an article. And it's like, we have so much damn content that, I mean, I could sit here and scroll forever until I get to the damn thing. Here it is from Scott Barrett's great week 1 recap. Led the Raiders in targets, 2 more with Devontae. Since 2014, Hawkinson and Pitts are the only other rookie tight ends to command 8 or more targets in their first career game. Among tight ends for the week, he ranked actually only 12th in route share, which is good, not great. 3rd in target share, which is great. 25.2%, and he ran 55% of his routes from the slot, the sixth most at tight end. I saw Michael Mayer get a couple of balls here, but Brock Bowers had a higher route share than guys like Mark Andrews and Evan Ingram from week number 1. So yeah, he's a tight end 1 based on that. Steve asks, in a point per completion league, do I roll Murray or Cousins? You can't roll with Cousins after last week until we see him actually play well. So I'm going to go with Murray there. Brandon, PPR rest of the season, drop 1. Is there a clear top? I mean, you're gonna drop Chase Brown here because you're sure as hell not dropping Jamison Williams after week 1. Mostert scored 21 touchdowns last year. Now he's already banged up, so that is certainly a little bit of a concern. But no, we're feeling really, really good. Feeling really, really good about what we saw from Jamison Williams. I mean, you're all on the site, I would imagine. Plenty of data points on it, but man, he was treated like a 1, basically. So I know a lot of people are a little panicking about Amon-Ra, but I wouldn't worry about that. But rejoice if you have Jamison Williams. I mean, no doubt about it. I was very high on him. I wish I picked him as my number 1 breakout wide receiver. I ranked him as my number 2 breakout receiver this year. It was him and Watson. I already regret it. Now, granted, Watson did score. He does get all the money looks, if you will, downfield and in the red zone, but the damn quarterback got hurt. And that's a real, real big problem. Not my fault, but hopefully some of you people out here got Jamison thanks to me or anybody else on the website, because this is, and our guy Kaplan too. We did the podcast. We were talking him up. And yeah, I've been in all year. And I said this a lot. I mean, it's a really, really great environment for Jamison Williams because you are run heavy and you are deadly with the running game. You have a very good O-line. I mean, you're just drawing a safety away from the deep portion of the field, period. And you're going up against often single high safety. Because you have to play that against Detroit often because of their running game. And now you have a lid lifter who, if they see him in single coverage or man-to-man against single high, they're going to take the shots. And Goff may not have a cannon, but I said, look, he's really good, I think, at the deep ball game. Like, he throws a very catchable, nice touch on it. I mean, it's a very catchable ball down the field. He did that in college, by the way. He was chucking it down the field. So, man, it's just a beautiful environment. And it should work in everyone's favor because you clear it out downfield, and all of a sudden maybe it's a little bit more room to navigate for Samuel Laporta and Amon-Ra. So the Lions are cooking with gas with Jamison Williams. So yeah, I'd have to drop Chase Brown. Justin asks, morning, Justin, do you like Skinny Batman or Drake London more on Monday Night Football? That's, whoo boy, I'm going Skinny B. Because while London might have a little bit more upside, I doubt it, honestly, because of Kirky. So does Devontae Smith. He has plenty of upside with the good matchup, and he has way less downside. So I'm not regretting just yet any love for Drake London. I mean, he was on my list, but we didn't expect much from him in week 1. So I'm not that worried about it. But talk to me in 2 weeks. If London has 3 bad games, then I'm going to be worried. But I said all summer, and if you read the Hansen's Hints, not the Hansen's Hints, the Good Vibes, Bad Vibes, I was bracing myself for a slow start based on matchups. So let's not panic. CEO motivation back again. Good morning. Flex question. Lost Puka, starting Skinny Batman, Garrett Wilson, Shakir. I have Rico, Chase Brown, and Brandon Cooks. Don't love Brandon Cooks this week based on that matchup he's got. But, I mean, Brandon Cooks was out there. He was very active. You will see a little Marshawn Lattimore. I'm not that worried about it, but Lattimore graded out well in week 1. Cooks is a pretty savvy route runner, though. Yeah, I'd probably go Cooks there. Hope for the best. I mean, Chase Brown is tough to trust, and then Rico as well. Like, Zeke did everything we thought he might do, which is first and foremost get the short yardage goal line carries right on top of the goal. Ed M asks, stash and hope, Tank Bigsby or Ray Davis. Man, that's a tough one. I love Ray Davis, and I thought he looked good, but let's take a look at who these guys are playing over or who's playing above them. ETN for Bigsby, Cook for Davis. Cook is, I'm going to give him the slight edge there. So I'm going to go Bigsby just because I think ETN has got some issues there. He fumbled last week. I don't think he's great in short yardage. He's not a great lead back. I think he would be great in a dual backfield with another guy working in there. Probably the same for Cook, honestly. But yeah, I'm going to go Bigsby there. Steve asks, would you consider Jameson Williams over Drake? I would certainly consider it. Drake will see a lot of Darius Slay. Jameson, we don't want to go chasing points. He'll see Jamal Dean, who's pretty good. They do play a lot of zone. Yeah. I'm going to go Drake. I'm going to go Drake on that one. Hope for a touchdown. Slay's still pretty good, but I'm going to go Drake there and expect. By the way, Kirky is an Eagles killer. Let's throw that out there. If Kirk Cousins has a bad game on Monday night, it might be the first time he's ever had a bad game against Philly. Honestly, let's call that up real quick because I think that probably means something. I don't know what it is, but dating back to his days in DC, Kirky against Philly is pretty nice. Let's see here. Let's take a look. We've got, the last time he played him last year, he threw for 364 and 4 tutties. He had a game against them in 2019, 334, 4 tutties. Had a game against them in 2018, threw for 300 with a tutty. Previous game before that, 300, 3 tutties. Like, he's got a number of 300 plus yard games against Philly and a number of big games with like all kinds of touchdowns. He's got 3 4 touchdown games against Philly dating back 10 years. It's pretty good. So I'm going to go with Drake there. Let's go to Thursday night special lean. I'm going to get right into that now. But what was the lean I had? It's not a great one here. I hate to say it. I mean, I can't go Kincaid, right? That's too high. My lean, my first reaction is normally the right one. And if it's not, it's the second, because my second reaction last week was freaking Isaiah Likely. I think I mentioned that. But we went with Bateman. But yeah, I guess my lean's Shakir, because you love for the Thursday night special to score. The Monday night special, by the way, that I gave out on VSiN was Lazard. I went plus 600 anytime touchdown. He scored 2. We're not going to replicate that again on Monday Night Football. But yeah, I'm leaning toward Shakir right there. Let's move on here. Mike, I went all in on Love. Sorry. Not my fault, but sorry. And the waiver wire is skank. Deed a quarterback for the next week. Who would you go with? Geno, Goff, or Stafford? You're talking about week 2? Let's take a look here. Geno is intriguing. Stafford, though, against Arizona has got to be the play, even though he lost Puka. I trust Stafford a little bit more. There's just something about Geno. Like, there is an element of, we can have all the analysis we like. We can look at all the data, study the individual matchups, and it's still Geno Smith. And will he come out and play well? Who knows? So let's go Stafford there. Sunset Surfing, Dynasty League 16-teamer. Is there any reason to hold on to Sean Tucker? Yeah, probably. I mean, my guy Rashad, it's tough. he just doesn't get it done running the rock. And Bucky Irving, I didn't think was going to be a big threat to him, but he already is for early down work. So I don't know if Tucker's going to be much better, but yeah, I mean, that is an angle for Sean Tucker, that Rashad White is not the greatest early down runner. Now, unbelievable receiver. So he's going to be all right. I mean, he made, what did he catch, all 6 targets last week? I mean, and that was my main analysis with him coming out. I'm like, some of the best hands I've ever seen. I'm sorry. This guy is unbelievable. Yeah. So maybe there's a chance for Sean Tucker, but I'm not like I'm holding my breath, but that's your angle. Sean asks, are you changing your view on Cooper Kupp? I mean, it looks horrible now. Certainly. Didn't know Puka was hurt. Kupp did look really good. No, not right now, because for about 2 months last year, I felt like a real jackass because I was fading him last year. And then he missed the rest of the second half. So, I mean, okay. So it's kind of like McCaffrey. Like, I could be wrong, but I'm just looking at the entirety of the season, knowing we need, I don't know if there are any September only leagues out there. No, we need September, we need October, we need November, and most importantly, we need December. And with guys like Kupp and McCaffrey, very skeptical they can make it through the whole year. So right now I'm wrong, but this time last year I was wrong. And ultimately I was right. You can be right and wrong, unfortunately, in this business. So yeah, I mean, I feel a little weird about it now because Kupp got 1 million targets and he crushed, and he should be like no worse than wide receiver 5. But can he make it through the whole year? I do think the ankle issue is potentially something that is going to keep popping up. I think that's, look at the history of his injuries, and you'll see this ankle thing going back like 3 years. So that's really my concern. Gulf Shores Vacation Guide. Very long name. Do people refer to you? Hey, look who it is. It's Gulf Shores Vacation Guide. If Amon-Ra had gotten even 3 fantasy points, I would have won. Wow, was it that bad? Amon-Ra didn't get 3? Jeez. I was actually recording the podcast for much of the first half. Oh my goodness. Well, he got 4. Did he fumble? No. Man, 3 grabs for 13. That is unbelievable. And again, it's great news for Jameson Williams, but let's look at it from the lens of like, is he doing that every week? Is Amon-Ra doing this every week? Is Laporta not? No. These guys are going to be okay, but it's certainly a great sign that Jameson Williams is balling out. Michael Sharrow asks, would you play Jordan Mason over Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, or James Conner? Let's take a look at the rankings here. Rankings, bitch. No. Let's take a look and see where we have these dudes slotted right now. Well, Breece Hall, not the greatest matchup, but we're going to get plenty of touches there. Conner, I mean, Trey Benson is not ready for prime time. I see we've got Mason at 10. No, I'm not going to go Mason there. Although, I mean, the Niners are going to win and win handily. So Mason will probably get some volume. But, the Vikings were damn good against the run last year under Brian Flores. So let me take a look here real quick. Hall, no. Taylor, and where's Taylor? I mean, Taylor, no, I'm not. I'm still going Taylor. I'm still going Taylor. I know he didn't get a target. I know that Anthony Richardson bogarted that touchdown, but Taylor did get 2 of the 3 carries inside the 5. Got to get him the ball a little bit in the passing game. You got to figure it out, man. Find a way to get this guy a couple of grabs here out in space, because nobody has a speck of value in the Colt backfield other than Jonathan Taylor. So, yeah, I mean, it feels a little risky benching Jordan Mason, who went off, but, the Vikings can stop the run pretty darn well. I think it'll be a Brock Purdy game, but get ready, baby. get ready. I would trade for Brock Purdy. He's my number one guy. Not my number one guy, but he was a profile guy. He's way up there. Love his chances to start really piling up the touchdowns. John said, well, he gave us the $9.99. Been a sub for years. Thanks for all that you do, from draft prep to weekly article, advice, projections. My success more than pays for the subscription. Well, thank you, John. As you know, comments like that absolutely help. I know I have a dream job here, but it can be difficult. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of grinding. You got to deal with failure. You got to put yourself out there and look like a jackass. So, you know, it's not fun at times. So thank you, John. Omri asks, do we panic on DJ Moore? Nah, you know, I mean, Odunze's already banged up. Cole Kmet, by the way, is dead. He's in the dirt. So, no, I'm not going to panic on DJ Moore. Jerry asks, Ferguson or Lazard for my last flex spot? I mean, geez, do we have to go Lazard? I mean, I actually had him as an impact guy on Monday. You know, he was my dark horse, all that. And he crushed it. But, I mean, geez, are we really going with Lazard? I mean, we can if Ferguson is limited all week. So I hate to say it. Sean says, I found the conversation that you and Adam Kaplan did the offseason to be the most beneficial video I've watched. Well, Mr. C is, you know, kind of doing his own thing, but we're going to try to. It's been tough because we haven't been able to kind of coordinate things. It's very difficult transitioning out of week one or the preseason to week one. But we'll see what we see. I mean, we still love Mr. C. Mike Dowdell, Daniels or Dak. I mean, we're going Daniels. Until proven otherwise, at the very least, we're going to probably go Daniels on that one. Colin Fisher is in a skank league. He lost Jordan Love. He didn't have a backup to Carr. He didn't have a backup. So it's Carr, Brissett, Darnold, or Bryce Young. I answered this before. It's either Carr or Darnold. I'm going Carr. I mean, he is just as talented as Darnold. He's got a lesser receiving core, but he's also dealing with fewer injuries with Hawkinson not playing and Addison. I guess he has a chance to play in week 2, but I'm going to go Carr with the good vibes coming out of week 1, and hopefully he just doesn't drive us nuts. And hopefully Kubiak's offense instills some continuity and consistency. I don't know how you do that with Derek Carr because he doesn't pull the trigger on throws often that are there and all that stuff, but we are off to a good start. Steve asks, Mason, Godwin, or Olave in the flex. I mean, I think at that point, Godwin should do very well. But I think you got to go Mason unless McCaffrey's in the mix. If Mason is the guy and McCaffrey's out, you're in that one, you got to go with Mason. Pete asks, I am hurting at tight end. Would trading J.K. Dobbins for Brock Bowers be worth it? Yeah. I mean, you got Dobbins for a song in your draft. He's not guaranteed to get it done every week. He's not guaranteed to stay healthy. The vibes are very good. Meanwhile, Bowers freaking usurped Devontae Adams in his first pro game with 2 more targets. I'm not saying he totally usurped him, but last week he did. So, yeah, I think you got to go with Brock Bowers. Toddatronic. Get a lot of tweets from Toddatronic. Thank you, Todd. What's up, man? Dowdle was just dropped. Dropped Corum for him or hold PPR in America. I'd probably keep Corum unless you really needed a guy who's got a chance to get 10 touches at running back. And if that does it for you, let's see what Dowdle, what did he get this past week? But yeah, I'd probably, we've been here before. I know it's stash and hope and you never know. It's like you throw him there for a rainy day, but how many times do you have a stash and hope guy, like all of a sudden, Wednesday practice kicks off and, oh, this guy's out. Oh, really? We didn't know that. Boom, go get that guy. It's like, that would be Blake Corum. If Kyron Williams is out and Blake Corum gets dropped across the fantasy leagues after week 1 and Kyron Williams gets hurt this week, obviously that's your number 1 pickup. Everyone's going to want him, be all in, blowing fab. If it's a serious injury for Kyron, it's going to knock him out multiple weeks. So avoid all that rush and just roster them if you can. That's what I would say. Moving on here. We always love the stories, says Todd. Good, because sometimes I feel like I'm boring people. Williams is trash. All right. No, he's not trash. Jameson? Is that Jameson? Greg says, hey now. I say back, hey now. Joe says, how do we feel about Drake London after week one? We didn't love Drake London last week. Definitely worried about the shadow coverage with Joey Porter, who's a stud. So don't worry about him until at least another week or two. And Kirky was raw. Flash says, thanks for the info. You're welcome, Flash. Terry asks, who do you see was covering London? Are you talking last week? That would have been Porter. This week, it'll likely be, and they don't play matchup corners often, but based on alignment numbers, you'll see a lot of Darius Slay. Let's say 60% of the time, he'll see a little Darius Slay. I mean, that's not the greatest matchup, but I'm not that worried about it. I mean, Slay's not the biggest guy out there. London can, use his size over Darius Slay. I'm not that worried about it. Moving on. Do you think Andy Dalton will take over in Carolina? I mean, they might have to do that in a couple of weeks just to stabilize it. They should have done that last year, but they were dumb. But it's bad. It's brutal. And, as bad as it was, and it's certainly not all of Bryce Young's fault, you put in Andy Dalton out there and watch him calm and settle everything down, honestly. So another horrific showing or two from Bryce Young. We might actually get there quickly. T. Burke says, thanks to all you do. You are quite welcome. Zach throwing money over here, $5. Do this as a part-time job. Njoku owner going to try and grab likely. Who do I drop? Josh Palmer, Devontae, Singletary, or Dowdle. Trying to grab likely. I mean, Dowdle may not have a ton of value, especially if they add in another back. I mean, I don't know about Dalvin Cook, and again, Dowdle's tied to a good offense. He's not bad at all. But I mean, Palmer's probably going to be pretty good. So if running backs are just like, there's nothing, okay, I'd probably lean to Dowdle, just in case I needed to dip down my depth chart. But otherwise, I'd probably let him go and want to have Josh Palmer. Sean, would you get rid of Addison at this point? Yeah, hurt on both ankles. Yeah, I don't know about that. He's a really good player, but I was trying to be below the markets on him this year. I wasn't feeling warm and fuzzy about it. But it'd be nice to keep him around here, Sean. I mean, he is a damn good player. Chris asks, in a 2-quarterback league, should I drop Cousins for Carr? Danny, Dimes, Brissett? No, definitely not Dimes or Brissett. No, I'm not going to drop him for Carr just yet, because between Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, he's got 2 to 3 unicorns there. He's got weapons. What I would do then is keep Cousins, and if you have the roster spot in a super flex, get Penix. Like, if Cousins is done, like, goodbye. That's why they have Penix. I mean, that's probably why they drafted him. Man, did I not? I'm really behind on these questions. Brian, what's your outlook on ETN and Dobbins after one? I mean, ETN, I'm probably not going to look at him as an RB1, even though he was last year big time. He was RB3. Certainly Bigsby looked good. Peterson's been talking about another back. I mean, Peterson, that's in his DNA. I remember his introductory press conference, the first combine he went to. I wanted to get a question in on him about his approach at running back. Didn't get to do it, but the next couple of years showed that he does like multiple backs. He likes rotating in. He hasn't been able to do that much because they don't have anybody else. All of a sudden now they've got Tank Bigsby. Dobbins, I mean, I feel good. Like, he looked good. Edwards is a jag. Nothing in the passing game. Dobbins can be their receiving back. I mean, it looks good. I mean, this could be a league-altering pick or pick up. Milo or Emilio asks, would you trade Devontae Smith for George Kittle? I lost Ferguson. My other wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, Debo. I mean, wow. Man, went all in on Team Graphic, I see here with Watson and Jameson. You got a little Rice there. Wow. And Devontae. What is this, an 8-team league? I mean, this is pretty loaded. I mean, it's all right. You can offset losing Devontae, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do that, honestly. Like, who else is available? Can you stream tight ends? I don't want to give up on Devontae Smith, honestly. I mean, crap. I mean, if I did trade high any of the guys, it might be Jameson, honestly, because this is an embarrassment of riches. So no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Kittle is still a little volatile. Let's go to Corey. 80 Mitchell, 5 targets, a good sign, or is he just a fill-in until Downs is healthy? I would lean that way as a fill-in. Look, they need speed. They want to push the ball down the field with Anthony Richardson. One of the reasons they got 80 Mitchell for sure. A lot of people, is he a clear out guy? But answer the question. I would say the latter is true, Corey. I mean, more of a fill-in guy until Downs is healthy. Josh Downs is a damn good player from the slot. They like him. He's going to command the ball. So yeah. I mean, AD Mitchell is more about like, okay, great for Anthony Richardson and the Colts offense. I still am not necessarily feeling it like we can trust AD Mitchell. Samuel asks, start Andrews or likely? I'm going to go Andrews there. It's an interesting question, of course. It would be absurd to ask that, I don't know, 6 days ago. But, we saw what happened in week 1. Corey, actually, no, I answered that. Sean asked, would you drop Addison for McMillan to Marcus? No, maybe Cooks. Okay, I'd be okay with Cooks, Sean. It was very high on Cooks this year. I couldn't figure it out. Like, why aren't people taking him higher than like 160 overall? Cordero Patterson is messing that Steelers backfield. Yeah, I know, Greg. I know. But Jalen Warren's too good not to get more touches. He was a little bit banged up. So I think it'll be balanced out just a little bit. Orlando Standard League need 3 out of 4. Mason, Jones, Taylor, Moss. I'd probably sit Moss down there. Aaron Jones looking pretty good. Indira, can we expect Marvin Harrison to have a better week? Yes, we can. Good news. Well, it's only good news because you can't get any worse than last week. Now, I will say Jameson Williams, I did write that I thought he was going to toast and roast Trey White, which he did. And we do have Tre'Davious White on the field for the Rams. So that could help Marvin Harrison lining up outside. Trey White is an outside corner. Kobe Durant's the other guy who's actually graded out pretty well. But I would feel better about Marvin Harrison this week against the Rams. They are an execution defense. They don't have dominant players. Although, saw Jared Verse out there. Got a sack, I believe, pretty early. Those 2 youngsters are pretty intriguing. But, the Rams can certainly be had. Kathleen, what is up? It is Jameis Winston time. What are your thoughts concerning the Cleveland offense? I mean, look, they're probably 2 to 3 really bad showings away. I mean, I don't have my finger on the pulse of that, but I would imagine they're going to be relatively quick if they're going to pull this trigger. I mean, normally you would be like, all right, you're not pulling the trigger on benching them until it's like real bad, like week 5, 6. This could be a little different if it's another horrific showing or 2. So it might be a couple of weeks. Are you excited about that? I mean, I guess we should be, just because you've got 4 really good receivers, and I don't trust any of them, even Amari Cooper, because of the quarterback. I mean, so yeah. Thanks, Maud. British Gridiron Films. John is Neighbors coming out party with the state of the. Is it a Neighbors coming out party with the state of the Commander's secondary? Yeah. I mean, Washington secondary is
one of the worst in the league, if not the worst. Should be a higher scoring game, quite frankly. Yeah, it probably will be. Although I will say I did like Wandale to get some of those gimmicky, gadgety looks that everyone was just totally presuming that Neighbors would get. And I understand why. He's a stud. You got to get him the ball, and the quarterback isn't very good. So do it in a designed way. I get it. But, they do like Wandale. Wandale's also pretty good. But, yeah, Malik Neighbors this week. We'll see a lot of St. Juiced, who got roasted last week. Yeah, you're looking good. You are looking good. Samuel asks, full PPR start, Christian Kirk or Cook, Dallas. Okay. Ooh, boy, I don't love either matchup. Kirk is going to see a good amount of Greg Newsome in that slot. I think I might go Cooks there. That's ballsy because Kirk is more of an alpha than Cooks in the passing game, more of a kind of a go-to guy for the quarterback, but definitely worried about last week plus the tough matchup this week. Kendall, is Kelsey a sell low candidate? It's a good question. I would not sell, basically. I don't think he's a buy low. I'm not feeling that. Could be the case. But I'm also not selling because he could be a buy low guy. So I'd suck it up with Kelsey at this point. If I traded him after this week, I probably won't get a fair return. So don't do it. That's what I say. CJ, am I crazy to want to start Jaden Daniels over Mahomes? I think that's a bit much, but our projections say you're not crazy. I could tell you that. We've got Jaden Daniels at number 1 this week. Mahomes only at 7. You almost wonder, will Mahomes have to throw it a ton, considering how bad things looked for the Bengals last week? Yeah, based on the matchup and the running, of course, he's going to run a ton. They play a lot of man, by the way, the Giants. So no, you are not crazy. It is crazy that we're saying it, but you, sir, are not. I'm going to scroll down here. Boy, I'm like answering 7 questions per person here. With Love out, who would you roll with the next 3 weeks? Goff, Geno, or Stafford? I mean, Goff. Probably Goff. Now that he's got Jameson Williams, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to stop the Lions. Good O-line, good running, no weaknesses. Good O-line, good RB1, good RB2, good pass catching back, great tight end, great slot, and now you have a vertical weapon on the outside. I mean, really the only thing they're missing is great size at wide receiver. Basically, Neal, Michael Wilson, Alan Lazard, Jalen Naylor, or Jalen McMillan. I mean, there's only one ball, but he's really good. He's already commanding that damn ball, honestly. So I'm going to go McMillan there. Fields, Stafford, or Baker while I wait for Love to get healthy. Ooh, Baker. Let's just go Baker. I mean, he's got a good matchup this week against Detroit. He's balling. He was the best pickup of the week. John, who are you streaming this week in lieu of Love, Fields, or Mayfield? Baker. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. He threw for well over 300 in the matchup against the Lions last year and 3 tutties. Luis says, I've got Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, JJ, and D. Robinson. Well, I don't love Rice this week. Obviously, JJ, I assume is Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I'd start the first 3. First 3. JJ, Rice, Flowers. Armando, after all the preseason hype, I drafted Whittington. Do I hold him or do you pick up Tyler? Now, I'm going to say something here that I could be dead wrong. Obviously, we're trying to predict the future. I thought Tyler Johnson looked great. I think he's got inside-outside versatility that they love. Hell, guess who the comp was on Tyler Johnson when he came out several years ago? Bobby Trees. So I like Tyler Johnson as a potential needle mover. Fred asks, hey, would you trade Shakir or Kirk for Likely? Conklin is my starter. And I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, I like Shakir still. I would definitely trade Shakir over Kirk. And yeah, I'm a little worried a little bit about Conklin, but again, it's only one damn game against a good defense. Fred Warner and company, they were bringing it. So Conklin was screwed. Big litmus test this week, though. Jalen, and do you like Jalen Wright? Absolutely. If Mostert and Achane go down, which they're both banged up, absolutely. One of the most impressive, one of the most needle moving showings for me in the preseason was Jalen Wright. I was a little skeptical, but he was out there moving well. I was like, wow. Oh, wow. Mostert has just been ruled out. Well, Jalen Wright is looking good right out of the gate. Wow. Now, keep in mind, they could just play it conservative with Jeff Wilson. Jalen Wright was inactive in week 1, probably a special teams thing. I know he handled that like a pro. So we do have Jeff Wilson there, but Jalen Wright is a great pickup. Oh, wow. Here we go. Well, so far, it's about 50-50 on like these older guys that I'm fading. Some of them are doing well, some of them not so well, like Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert. Wow. Brandon asked, Deontay Johnson worthy, Jameson Williams. I'm going to go Jameson until proven otherwise. With Deontay just getting absolutely crushed. And I'm getting absolutely crushed with these comments. I apologize. There's absolutely no freaking way I can get to all these questions because, I got to get back to work. So I think we're going to wrap it up here on Hump Day with Hansen. I think we promised an hour. This is the problem I used to get way back in the day. I'll do a chat. And it's like 4 hours later, I'm still answering questions. It's tough. Happy to do it, but I can't get to all of them. I'm going to wrap here. And like I said, get back to work. We thank you for tuning in here. Subscribe to the YouTube page if you haven't already, and like and comment. Help out that algorithm for us. But yeah, we're crushing it here. Big time growth on YouTube. Really appreciate that and the support from everybody. So I'll wrap it up here. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel. Obviously, all the content here just getting started for week number 2. Thank you for Thomas Tipple for keeping me on the air here. This has been Hump Day with Hansen, and you're welcome.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.